Okay, let's get into some rumors. Because we've talked enough about ads, but let's get into what's been going on this week. And there is some weird stuff on this Twitter thread, but let's get into what has been going on this week in terms of the rumors. Well, there's Halo, but we'll get into that later. Okay, so first of all, it's this. So Kojima, Xbox project, we heard about this like last year that Kojima was working on a project exclusively for Xbox. We heard this from Jeff Grubb. He mentions in here in his GameSpeed article where he's talking about Abandoned and how people thought Abandoned was the secret Kojima game that Kojima was trolling, PlayStation was trolling, and he was going to come out and say, hey guys, this is the new, we got the Silent Hill IP, this is exclusive Silent Hill game for PlayStation and all this type of stuff, or an exclusive new Kojima game for PlayStation with Abandoned. And obviously we know now this isn't the case. I don't know if you guys watched the interview between, I forget his name, but the head of Blue Box and Colin Moriarty, and how basically it sounds like these guys pretty much used all their money on advertising. They're out of money. They have no idea what they're doing. Abandoned sounds sort of almost like a scam in the sense that they kind of scammed PlayStation into having this great idea that may never come to fruition. But we'll wait and see. So it has nothing to do with Kojima. And in this article, the biggest talking point that Jeff Grubb said was, the biggest piece of evidence I have that Abandoned is not a Kojima joint is that Kojima is in talks with Microsoft about publishing his next game, according to a source familiar with the matter. And yes, that statue on Phil Spencer's shelf was referencing a potential deal with the legendary developer. I cannot confirm if Xbox closed the deal yet, but my understanding is that Kojima is the focus of a Microsoft plan to tap into Japanese, talent. And this was posted April 7th, 2021, so pretty much exactly a year ago. And then after that, we really didn't hear anything about Kojima. We had no idea what he was doing, if this was going to be a game that was coming over to Xbox or not, if this deal was going to close. I think we even heard that the deal was close to closing at some point, and it's been an entire year. And now we have a bit more information on this, where Jeff Grubb. It seems like Jeff Grubb has all of the insider news, all of the information about this type of stuff. One thing I do have to say about insiders, though, I am going to say this. You got to be really careful about believing all the stuff insiders say. I think Jeff Grubb has been right on like a lot of stuff, and I think he's great of what he does. But you got to remember, did anyone predict Bethesda? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but did anybody predict Bethesda acquisition, and did anybody predict the Activision Blizzard acquisition? I can't remember anybody. So there's probably stuff going on behind the scenes that we will never have any idea about until if it happens, right? Until we get the announcement from Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo or Valve, right? Who knows? So these rumors are always just kind of up in the air. It's almost kind of like you can just throw a bunch of stuff at a wall and hope one of them does come true. Not saying this Kojima one is, but I would say about the PlayStation stuff we've heard about this week is kind of just like throwing shit at a wall. And we'll talk about that later, but it's kind of throwing stuff at a wall and hoping one of them comes true. But with Kojima, Jeff Grubb says here on his Giant Bomb show, Grub Snacks, as a couple of weeks ago, the Xbox and Kojima deal is still on. Then he goes on to say, this isn't based on the information I had last year. This is more recent than that. This is still on, which is, if you're believing what he's saying, this is good news. They're still in the works for something. I guess, I don't know why they wouldn't have closed the deal yet if it's been an entire year, but maybe Kojima is still kind of trying to come up with his idea. And until that happens, Xbox isn't going to close the deal. I don't know. And then he continues on here to say, does this mean that PlayStation couldn't have acquired Kojima Productions? Not necessarily. Which I think is a very important point, because that has been the main thing that PlayStation fans have been clamoring about all week is Kojima Productions. Well, Kojima Productions and From Software. Those are the two big ones they've been talking about. The reason they've been talking about this in terms of an acquisition with Kojima Productions is because PlayStation updated their banner, which shows off their first party games, and they updated it here with Death Stranding. You can see it here, the old one up here, and then the new one down here with Death Stranding. Now, This means absolutely nothing in terms of an acquisition because PlayStation owns that IP. So of course they're going to advertise it. I could be wrong on this as well, but I believe Xbox did the exact same thing with Ori. They owned, when it was an exclusive, they advertised Ori. I mean, why wouldn't you? You own those, you own those marketing rights, right? And with PlayStation Studios, obviously they're going to advertise Death Stranding as something that you can only play on console on PlayStation because you can play it on PC as well. So yes, they're going to be doing that advertising. So people thought this meant that PlayStation was acquiring Kojima Productions. It was finished. You might as well just write that check. Deal's done. Kojima Productions, a part of PlayStation Studios. And of course, we know that's not the case of what happened. So Kojima actually came out. Now, I've got to make sure I have this tweet up here because I definitely tweeted on it. Here it is. So Kojima actually came out and instantly debunked all of this, which is hilarious to think about because, first of all, this is my tweet, guys. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm decently active on Twitter. Twitter is, I don't know, it's not my favorite platform world, but anyways, Kojima tweets this out first, okay? He tweets the banner and he's just like excited because Death Stranding's here. And then you go down here into the comments of this tweet. This person says, this is the same situation as with Bungie, acquired by Sony but remains independent. Good on you, Kojima. Is he trolling? So this person tweeting at MBG, where are you when we need you? What else is here? As this person is calling them out saying PlayStation can only afford to use less than 10 billion. They sure as hell ain't buying Take-Two. Yeah, they're not buying Take-Two, but they can probably afford Kojima. I don't know how much Kojima is worth, but I don't think he's worth 10 billion. News outlets, Kojima is making an Xbox game. Kojima, let me share this PlayStation banner to let people know I'm not doing that. So the person thinks they're not making an Xbox game. Now announced that PlayStation got a hold of the Silent Hill IP and Blue Box Studios is in fact Kojima Productions. It's funny how they're still on that after everything that's come out. And maybe I'll have egg on my face when Kojima pops out and says, this whole thing was the biggest troll of my life. And we are making it a little, but highly doubted. Kojima acquired PlayStation. That would be hilarious. But anyways, people thinking PlayStation has acquired Kojima Productions, and he quickly turns that down, tweets this out in Japanese, and obviously I can't read that. It says, it sounds misleading, but Koji Pro has been and will continue to be an independent production studio. That's a Google translation. And then he actually comes out even further and clarifies it that he has nothing to do with an acquisition, that he's staying independent. He tweeted something out in English, I believe, unless it was just auto-translated. That's not it. But anyways, he confirms here that Kojima Productions wants to stay independent and that he's not being acquired by Kojima, which further pushes home the thought that when is what we're hearing about Xbox and Kojima, when the game that he wants to make, when is that going to be announced? When are we going to hear more information on that? And the reason why we know he wants to do business with Xbox is because they have the cloud stuff, they have the Azure stuff. He's going to be able to make just a massive game with his entire vision and just have not be held back by the technology, be able to do pretty much whatever he wants with Xbox. So we'll have to wait and see if this ever comes true. It's been a year since we heard about it, but Kojima is still independent, and it sounds like he is still making a game for Xbox. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we don't have any more information on that, but what is the most interesting, I think, about with Kojima and this whole thing is that as a guy who I think predominantly it makes the most sense, him being with PlayStation, like if PlayStation acquired Kojima Productions, it makes sense in the sense that they've worked together previously. But we know what PlayStation is trying to do right now, and it isn't trying to acquire more studios that are going to make single player narrative experiences. They already have they have so many of those. They've already satisfied that customer base by a long shot. What they're doing is, you think about the Bungie acquisition, is they're looking for companies to acquire that can make more live service and games as a service game. So I don't see why they would want to waste money on Kojima Productions when he's already making games exclusively for their console. And let's say he doesn't going forward, it's not something that they even really need to worry about, because they already have so many of his style of games. So I think that like they're going to be looking for more companies if they do make an acquisition that is going to be live service games. And we know that they are sort of looking, we know that we've heard it multiple times. Like I believe Jeff Grubb even said it. Where is it here? Yeah, from our friend the Red Dragon, where Jeff Grubb here, I'll just play it for you guys here.
As far as I'm aware, like the people that were hearing this, I mean, if you've heard the rumors about a big acquisition from Sony, it was never Kojima Productions, at least not as far as I'm aware. Like the people that were hearing this stuff, including me, never, that was not a name that was thrown around. It was bigger than Kojima Productions. I mean, if you've heard the
and
rumors,
that goes further to people thinking that PlayStation was going to acquire From Software, and then we saw the ridiculousness of the Phil Spencer shelf with him with the Elden Ring sword, which Xbox isn't acquiring From Software. They're owned by Katakawa, that big corporation. So there's a lot of random stuff that have to go on for that to happen. PlayStation, I think if there was a chance that they could do something with that, there's probably a bigger chance that they would. But there's so many other companies that PlayStation could acquire. I would be great, honestly, if somebody acquired Konami so they can get more of their games out there, because they don't really make games anymore. But people were talking about Ubisoft here, and Ubisoft is worth so much money. I don't even know if PlayStation could, and I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But Ubisoft honestly would make a ton of sense if PlayStation were to do anything with that, just because they're looking for more live service games. And we know Ubisoft is going really along the live service format with like Assassin's Creed and all the other stuff that they're releasing. So that would help them a lot. But we also know Ubisoft is doing that deal with Xbox, with putting Uplay or Uplay Plus into Ubisoft Plus, whatever it's called, into being able to access it on Xbox. So there's just so much stuff. We'll never know about any of these acquisitions. At the end of the day, like I said, all of these insiders, they just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall. They get some stuff right, they get some stuff wrong. I'm sure they have contacts that feed them information. It's probably very hard for them to filter through all of the good information that they need to report and then all of the bullshit information that they get. So I'm sure they get a bunch of both. But again, like I said, with acquisitions, think about what happened with Bethesda. Think about what happened with Activision Blizzard. Who predicted any of those? No one, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I do not believe anybody did. And those were the two biggest acquisitions. Did anybody predict Bungie? I don't remember anybody predicting Bungie. So all of these acquisition talks and all these rumors that we hear, nobody really knows, and we're not going to hear until they are actually complete and we get the announcement. All right, let's go through the comments here. All right, guys. All right. See what you guys have to think and say about this stuff here. Will Xbox buy more studios after the Activision deal? I personally, my thoughts on this is that Xbox, I think, will be a very long time before they go out and purchase anything big. I think if they're going to purchase a studio, it's going to be a smaller studio, a studio that they've worked with for a long time, such as certain Affinity, which we know are working on Halo, which will be the thing we talk about next. And I think that that would be it. But I don't think they're going to go out and do anything big for a decent amount of time. And my thought on that is that, like, why? Why do they need to go? I know a lot of people love acquisitions. I know a lot of people want to see more acquisitions. And honestly, it's exciting. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I don't like to see it. Like, I like to see it in the sense that it's hype and everyone talks about it, and I can make videos and we all get excited about what's going on. But do I think Xbox needs to go out and acquire anybody else? I personally do not. And the reason I say that is because they have so many studios right now. Like, we just look at this, right? Look at this. Like, look at all the games that they have that are either out, being worked on, or unannounced, and all the studios that they have to put out games that we haven't yet to see it, right? Like, it's just insane, the amount of studios and the amount of IPs that they're going to be able to work on. And then you add Activision Blizzard into that. I think what Xbox just needs to do, because we've seen reports come out over the last couple of months about Undead Labs, the Initiative, and there were negative reports, although I don't think there's too much to that. I think that's just journalism and people trying to, get the scoop and trying to make everything look bad and have all the fake outrage and all that crap that happens. But obviously there is something going on that's getting that are making people speak up about whatever's happening, where it makes it look like Xbox isn't doing a good job of managing all of these studios. And am I saying that's what's happening? No, what I'm saying is just like that's the perception that a lot of people are going to have when all of these articles keep coming out about the studios under them. So I think Xbox needs to do is they need to kind of take a step back and just realize that we can be hands off. Like Bethesda, obviously, I think you can be hands off with Bethesda. I don't think you need to do anything with Bethesda. Todd Howard knows what he's doing. They've been doing it forever. They're probably the best Western RPGs, if not some of the best Western RPGs in all of video games. But with other studios that are starting up anew, there needs to be some sort of direction. They need to make sure that games are moving. They're not just stuck in like the idea stage, and that they do get to that point. This is the main thing they need to do right now, is get to the point where we're getting first party Xbox games on Xbox Game Pass every 3 to 4 months consistently. Like you should be able to sign up to Game Pass and know, hey, we're going to have these 3 or 4 games this year to play. This is where they're going to be coming out. And I can look forward to that. And in between, we're going to be getting Game Pass games announced every month that I can just like take out my time until we get to that big game that I want to play. And like all the indie games, which are great, right? And until they get to that point, I think that's what they need to focus on. So I don't think they're going to go hard on big acquisitions, but they may go they may go acquire smaller studios that they're working with, like with certain Affinity, which we'll talk about when we talk about Halo. I know it was a long-winded answer, but that's kind of what I think about it. I know people want to see acquisitions, but I just don't think they need it right now. I just don't think they need it. What's up, Saldi? Welcome. What's up, Happy Call Gamer? Oh, I already said hi to you, but Norway, that's cool. Got UK and Norway in here. That's awesome. Oh my God, he even tweeted it himself. None of the PlayStation fanboys bothered to translate it and said Sony and Kojima. Yeah, I got a comment on one of my videos and it was just hilarious. And I didn't even reply. I don't really ever reply to trolls or the people who, because you know what? Yeah, I prefer Xbox, but I like to report the news. I like to talk about everything as much as I can. I don't think I'm like insanely biased in what I talk about. I give you the news and I give you my opinions. These are my real opinions, but they're like saying, "Oh, Kojima was going to get." Sony was going to get Kojima, and I'm just like, he literally just tweeted out that's not happening. So unless he's just straight up lying, which he could be, you never know. But anyways, I think Kojima will go solo and not be part of a company, but make deals no brainer in my opinion. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, because we know what happened with Konami, right? Like he was restricted by them. He left in a bad way. Why would he want to be under the hand of a big corporation again? The guy he has so many ideas. And I don't even like Kojima that much. I'll be completely honest. I'm not like a Kojima fan. I like some of the Metal Gear games. I thought Death Stranding was one of the most overblown, hyped game in the history of video games, honestly. Like I was hyped for it. I pre-ordered it. I got it. I got 10, 15 hours in and I was just like, man, this game sucks. It just sucks. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what like the concept is that he's going for, that like you have to be a certain IQ to understand Death Stranding. Like that's the things people were saying, but it was a boring ass game. And if games aren't fun, they aren't good. That's my final take on Death Stranding. So, but I think he definitely is, very creative and comes up with just wild stuff. Like you think of some of the Metal Gear stories and they're insane. They're really good. Looking forward to see the game he's making for Xbox. Me too. I want people to expand on this rumor more, because it's like we've been hearing about it for a year and all we're hearing is Jeff Grubb saying, oh yeah, it's still going on. But what does that mean, right? What does that mean? Great point. Both of those acquisitions came out of nowhere. Yeah. I didn't read any rumors about Bethesda. I didn't read any rumors about Activision before they were announced. So that's why I say with the insiders, you gotta just I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying they probably get a shit ton of information, but the big acquisitions, nobody knows except Phil Spencer. He's the guy who knows. And until Phil Spencer says it, we're not going to know. think Kojima will stand alone. They ride the line with PlayStation, Xbox. I agree with that. Yep. Activision is the last studio anyone would have predicted getting acquired. Yep, for sure. Nobody saw that coming. Why be acquired when Sony and Microsoft are both paying you to make games for their platforms? I agree. There's no point for him to be acquired. You think Take-Two is next from? Interesting. So I thought when they updated it, of course you're going to add it because it's an exclusive game for system. Yeah, and they have. I looked up. I believe they have the IP rights to it. So, which makes them more reasons why PlayStation would add it there. What's up, Josh? Welcome. Thanks for stopping by again. Bigger than Kojima Productions doesn't mean it's a publisher that people are speculating. I 100% agree that people keep saying from software, but I would be. It could be like my thoughts on the From Software stuff is like Elden Ring. From Software's at the top of their game. The amount of money you're gonna have to pay now for From Software is gonna be just like way more than it would have been if you would have bought them a year ago. So if they were gonna consider buying From Software, a company that made Bloodborne exclusive for PlayStation, why didn't they do it back then, right? Why did they waste all of this time to allow the value of From Software to get even higher and have to spend even more money on the company when you're already doing deals with them? Like they'll probably still make exclusive games for both platforms or whatever they do, whatever gives them the biggest big money in the future, which Sony will be able to afford more, and then they can go out and continue to like look for more games as a service studios and in order to build that side of their business, which they've talked about what they want to do. Didn't a partnership between Sony and Honda happen? I'm not sure. I was gonna read that, but it's Bob trolling as usual. I welcome the troll, Bob. I laugh at some of the stuff you say here. Tencent seems to be able to buy a studio nearly every week. yeah, that's true for sure. Capcom. Capcom, man. That would be massive, I think, for a lot of people, because Capcom has some great games. Again, they've done stuff with both, right? Like, I don't know. I hope not Capcom, unless they buy them and then Capcom. Unless they keep Capcom multi-platform. Sony bought Capcom. No, they didn't. You're lying to me. First of all, it's Saturday. Second of all, it's Easter weekend. There's no way any announcements are getting done today, or until like for a while. So you're lying. Personally, I like seeing Xbox at them because Sony will 100% make them exclusive, locking people out and force people to buy a PlayStation. Yeah, that's the one thing. Like, I tweeted this out. Tweet this out this morning, and this shows just how Xbox is the best for gamers. It's not even close. Like, look at this. I'm playing this morning. My wife was playing some weird game on my Xbox downstairs. It's just like, okay, well, she wants me to hang out with her. I want to go upstairs. I want to play my Series S while she's playing downstairs. She's like, she wanted me to hang out with her. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll hang out with you. So I open up this old MacBook, load up a browser, launch Xbox Cloud Gaming, connect a PS5 controller, and I'm playing Xbox with a PS5 controller through a MacBook. Like, I think it's like a 2014 or 2015 MacBook. Like, how incredible is this, right? And we're in a time that you can do this, that you can do all of this stuff and just play whatever you want, wherever you want, with whatever controller you want. It's incredible. Like, Xbox is the best for gamers. I think it's the best for gamers. It's not even close. It's not even comparable when you think about the variety and just the ability to play whatever you want, wherever you want, pretty much. Sony bought Capcom. You keep telling me this. You're lying, Bob. You are lying. All right. Okay, so insiders make many rumors, and sometimes they are right and sometimes they are wrong, but some insiders will apologize for why they are wrong and some not. And yeah, I think the thing with insiders is that, like I mentioned, is that they probably get so much information that it's a lot of stuff to have to like filter through, and they know a lot of it is just garbage, people trying to make them believe things or make them look bad or whatever. And sometimes those that are trying to make them look bad will filter through into something that they report, and then it turns out wrong. But at the same time, I also think that like no insider is really going to ever know about any of these big deals. They're going to throw a bunch of stuff at a wall and then hope one of them sticks based off of the information that they hear from credible sources. But even these credible sources, like nobody leaked Activision, nobody leaked Bethesda. You know what I mean? Because deals that big that are going on, there's probably a very small select few of people that know about this. There's probably Phil Spencer and Todd Howard, and then maybe like Nadella and I don't know, another person at Bethesda. That's probably literally it who knew about this. So unless someone's going in there and seeing Phil Spencer's emails and listening to his phone calls, I don't think anybody would have known about that. And I could be naive, I could be wrong, but that's just the way I see it in terms of insiders. Because I'd assume insiders are getting information from much lower level people in these companies who wouldn't know about these massive deals.